Okay, tell me when I can jump in.
You can jump in whenever, man.
All right, you guys. King Kramer's vlog is going down. It's gonna be dumb. Let's freaking do this.
All right, this is where we are.
Oh! I'm Hector. Nice to meet you, dude. Is that my country? Will we make a mark this time? Will we
You alright?
Couldn't you go any faster?
We're standing on the rooftops, everybody scream your heart out. Standing on the rooftops, everybody scream your heart out. Standing on the rooftops, everybody scream your heart out. This is all we got now, everybody scream. Oh, come on, dude, that's awesome. Dude, thank you, bro. You're awesome. Yeah. Oh, I'm a failure. I'll fail as a dad. I'll fail as a spouse one day. If you're not perfect, then you fail.
There are lots of different types of fear. One of the most painful ways that I've seen it in my life is failure. Whenever I was 15 years old, one of my best friends, he died going into my sophomore year of high school. It was June 2008, I believe. I, for probably about a month, spent the whole month, it felt like at least, crying myself to sleep because it was extremely painful. Long story short, through my friend's death, I went to a conference called Forward Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. It was after that awakening that I felt like God put on my heart to start a youth ministry for our city.
On green, I'm going for it.
We wanted to create something that was for high schoolers specifically to come together and find God. And so we did, we called it One Less. The mission statement was, we are one less that the enemy can steal from the kingdom of God. So we ran it for 2 years and it went really well. We had a lot of great times and memories and so much fun. I mean, we started in a hotel, then we went to a warehouse, and then we had a building. At 15 and 16 years old, I mean, we had our own building and it was awesome. And then slowly it started to go down. And people stopped coming. They stopped showing up. Until we ultimately felt like that season had come to an end. I can't tell you how many times I have heard that lie of failure, failure, failure on repeat because of that 2-year span where something was good and it was helping a lot of people and then it started to tank and it felt like it crashed. A lot of friends that I've told this story to and that were a part of it, I've said, man, that was such a failure. It didn't feel like I just failed. It felt like that I was a failure, that my identity was a failure. And now, fast forward 10 years later, I still have to struggle with that lie of I'm a failure and everything that I touch fails. My marriage fails. The things that I lead and I'm over fail. That's the lie that keeps going over and over and over through my mind and my heart. Man, it's so hard, honestly. And I know that for a lot of people, failure, that fear of failure, can express itself in either not taking risks and playing it safe, which is not my personality. If you know me, that's just not me. But for me, my fear of failure causes me to do too much. It causes me to work and work and work and work. And so from that experience 10 years ago, and hearing that lie of the enemy that says you're a failure and everything you touch fails, I have made a decision in my life that I'm still recovering from, that I will never fail again. And because of that decision, I started to work and work and work and work and work and work until the point to where I became a workaholic, and it destroyed my family.
This is not your fault.
It's caused so much pain between me and my wife.
Look at me, son. It's not your fault. I know.
And my friendships, man, I've had so many friends come to me and say, King, we just don't see you anymore.
It's not your fault. I know.
We don't spend time with you anymore.
No, you don't. It's not your fault.
And I can't tell you how this season, I'm not trying to get emotional. It's just something that's really fresh.
I know. It's not your fault.
I can't tell you how many times that I've told them, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is what I'm going through. I'm sorry that I don't know how to not hear that voice on repeat. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
And then finally, I feel like I've had this revelation over the last year or so where I've started to see there's a major difference between failing and falling short and being a failure. See, failing has to do with my circumstances. I will make mistakes. So will you. But being a failure and hearing that lie of you're a failure, you're a failure, you're a failure, man, that speaks to your identity. It speaks to something that you put upon yourself, and it feels like it seeps down deep into the root and the core of your heart to where you feel like that's true. And so because you believe that lie of you're a failure, whenever you fail, you just feel like, see, I told you. What I've learned over the past year is that the only way that you can combat that and you can walk out of this paralyzing grip of a fear of failure is to realize that if you put your faith in Jesus, if you've surrendered your life and you put your will in His hand, that God looks at you and He says, you're my beloved son or daughter, in whom I'm well pleased and I could not be more proud of. You know, the voice that we may hear over and over is failure, failure, failure. But what God says about you and me is son. He says, you're my beloved. You're my chosen, so much so that He sent His son to die for me. And I'm not trying to get preachy. I'm really not. But man, that's the only hope that I have of walking out of this crippling fear, is that Jesus came, He broke that grip on my life, so now I can step into the identity of being a son that is known by God, that has a relationship with Him and is deeply loved. Man, that's the only thing that can walk you out of that fear of failure. So today, wherever you're at, maybe you've just had a really hard season where you felt like, God, I can't help but see this as a failure. You may have failed, but you're not a failure.